Hey moguls, today our focus is all about why you keep hitting the same ceiling over and over and how to mutate through it. So if you're a leader, an entrepreneur, or a high-level visionary, and you are wondering why, no matter what you do, you keep hitting the same growth ceiling over and over. You keep looping, right? You do the growth, you do the growth, you do the growth, and then you like revisit the same cycle, struggle, something goes wrong, and then you redo the upgrade again. This is hitting a growth ceiling that is happening, and you just keep looping and looping. And you might have seen this, of course, in your company as you're trying to build your empire or dynasty. You might have seen it in other areas of your life where you're like, I've been here before, right? And you just keep looping in the same pattern at the same level. And if this has been happening to you, I'm going to tell you something that no one else will. Okay, it's not your strategy, it's not your mindset, it's your programming, mogul. And until you reprogram it, transform it, and ultimately mutate it, you will continue to replay the same loop. You'll see keep hitting the same ceiling. And unfortunately, what this means is you'll be on a timeline where you're not going at the direction and the level you need to go in, especially for what's happening in the world. And you will live out a different destiny. All right. So it may, be all right. It may be a nice gig that you've had, but you are not rising through the trajectory that you're meant to be on and the timelines that you need to be on and the portals that open for what it is that you're here to do, to be at the top level you can possibly be at in a world that is going to require everyone to be a top mogul at the minimum. So as a reminder, everyone, I'm Dr. Tracy Thomas. I'm the Mogul Reality Maker. I am your quantum transformation advisor. I'm the chief visionary behind the Moguls Club, and I've made millions transforming leaders into moguls who are powerful, influential people, right? That's what the word mogul means. And moguls are people of authentic power, not corrupt, manipulative power. So I've been doing this for a long time, helping leaders break through every internal and external limit, keeping them stuck in someone else's version of success. And I've led some of the world's most exponential transformation programs customized for our clients, starting, at 100,000, going on 15 years now, and reaching into the $1 million per program realm. I am also a Wall Street Journal bestselling author, a TED speaker, a Who's Who in America award winner for my work as a performance psychologist and a reality scientist who helps people create new realities that change the world. So, why do so many powerful, driven, brilliant leaders keep hitting invisible ceilings even when they just seem so successful to all of us from the outside? And because, they're not just dealing with a mindset issue, they're not just dealing with a business strategy problem. The reality is they're creating a reality, trying to create an empire or a dynasty, and they are trapped inside their programming. And the programming we all have comes from, of course, we know our family, the society we're in, the country we grew up in, the whole system of reality and what it is. Um, it comes from generational programming, ancestral programming going back thousands of years. So it's not just the emotional patterning from childhood, but it includes that. It's not just the embedded limits from generational trauma, but it includes that. It's not just your subconscious limits that are inherited from your family system, but it includes that. But it is also things like identity-based loyalty contracts to people where you agree to play a certain role in a relationship that you might have been playing since you were 5 years into the world. So even one dysfunctional relationship, one misaligned partnership can act like a frequency anchor, holding you at the level of reality that you were absolutely meant to outgrow a long time ago. But if you've got these anchors in different relationships that you have, you're trying to reach for the top, but you're anchored to the bottom. The physics just don't work. So the real problem, moguls, it's not about needing to work harder. And I hate every time that's given. That's such a generator um, thing to say. Just work harder. That's if you're a generator, that's always the solution. But that's not what all of us are. We all have a different human design. And if you don't know yours, check out our website, link in the description, get your human design type so you know what you are. It's not just about working harder. It's not just about hiring the next greatest coach. It is not just about journaling or saying a better affirmation or trying to upgrade yourself that way. Okay, this is about recognizing that you're still running someone else's code, someone else's script. This might be your great, 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 great grandfather's stuff that's still there. This might be a relationship that you're having with a family member and the way that you are in that relationship. This might be how your partnership is. Could be how a certain friendship is. It could be a certain set of relational dynamics that is just embedded in you that is what you're used to. So it could be any number of things, but if your programming is off, you'll keep hitting the same ceiling, running the same loops. And imagine if you're trying to go like this, you're wanting to go like this, but your programming is in this level. Your frequency is down here. Your programming is a frequency, right? So if your frequency is here, you keep growing, you try pushing up, you effort and effort, and you try to get up, but your programming's down here. It'll just keep bringing you back down there. And if you're in this frequency, say the frequency is like from here to here, but you're in this frequency and you want to be up here. If you're stuck in this programming, you will loop in here. That's why you will repeat cycles and you will repeat them. And you're like, we want to be up here. But if you try to be up here with hard work, but your programming is down here, you cannot outwork your programming. Impossible. That's why when they say everybody work hard, the masses of the world are not doing well. Working hard as a strategy is not making the masses rich. If it was the great strategy, there's no one that works harder than all of the people of the world. And what you notice is there are people that are just at a higher frequency and they're not working hard. They are just clear in that frequency and creating a reality. So we don't know. Your idea of success might be a repackaged version of the environment you grew up in. You may not know, right? I remember having a client where she was saying, this is what was going on with like one of her team members, and there was this relationship issue within the team. And I was like, she had been my client for some time. I'm like, doesn't that sound like the exact relationship that you have with your dad? And here it is repeating itself. She was like, oh my God, this is not about my employee. This is about me and my dad. Like, you are likely just recreating your entire experience of the system you came up in, be it all the versions of reality that go in that system. The family system is just a function, an expression of the system of the country you came up in. For example, I came up in America, which is a massively manipulative, dysfunctional reality, distorted and manipulative and controlling and suppressive and enslaving. And it's so dysfunctional that the families over all my lifetime, I just kept watching them get more and more dysfunctional. So the family is not an isolated thing. They're a reflection and a materialization and an expression of the entire system. And then there's the system of the world. And remember, we're in 3D reality. Most of the masses are. I'm not. My clients are not. My team is not. But most of the world's in 3D, so you just keep looping in the same thing. And it's only certain people that are higher frequency that rise up. We look up to them. But they're in a whole different reality. So you might be recreating exactly the reality that is in your system from, it's generational, it could be ancestral, it could go back thousands of years because we all carry generational and ancestral programming. So think about this. You might be struggling to scale your business to the next level, your wealth, or your mission if your frequency field is still loyal to that programming, that reality, that way of being and living. I had my own experience of this. I there's nobody in the world that could have worked more intentionally for our frequency than my team, the one that I had in America specifically. And we kept running into the same thing that would happen. We'd hit a certain level, we would be just high as we could be. We were so happy. We would intend, we would create, we would focus, we would rise up. And then one of our team members would literally, they would not be able to handle the upgrade. They would start to melt down. It was like on cue. And at one point, I had to recognize, because I would then go and instead of being like, oh, let's go over here and focus on our new amazing celebrity client or our awesome new client who's a political figure, and then I'd be running over trying to fix the person's meltdown and make sure they came with us on the massive upgrade into the next level, I had to realize, oh my God, this is literally what would happen in my family. I would be feeling amazing in my life, things would be going well. One of my family members would have a crisis, a meltdown, some crazy shit would go on, and then early on it was like my dad had to go fix it, but then later on he just opted the F out and said, I'm out of here. And I was just like, there going like, oh, I'm the go-to. So I was like the first responder to everything. And it was just on cue. So we would have these great successes, and then all of a sudden it would be like, oh, and I didn't realize I was repeating the family system experience, which is also related to the American country experience, which is America was rising and then it would just fixing everybody in crisis, and let me run over here and fix you, and let me run over here and fix you. And America was never allowed to be what it was intending to be, because they wanted to go dominate everybody. So then they had to manage everybody instead of being like, let's raise ourselves up. That would be the best way we could, if you think of it as a country, which I'm no longer in, I live in the UAE, but it could have risen so high that nobody could have touched it. But when you're just constantly rescuing everybody, that went into the family system, and that came through my family system. And then I was doing it, and I had to recognize this cannot be in my empire creating strategy. So we want to see what you might have going on in this way and what could be happening to you in what your programming is doing to keep you at a ceiling. Because this is why so many leaders, they burn out, they plateau, or maybe they're successful, they're miserable, or eventually like something collapses. But because if you've done the growth, then you can actually mutate yourself and rise up. Your empire dynasty will rise up with you. But if you haven't transformed, reprogrammed, and what we say, mutated yourself into a new quantum level being like a mogul, and what we create here at the Moguls Club, you will be trying to rise, but you'll be too dense. You will literally physically be heavy, emotionally heavy, and you will hit ceilings. And that's why we see only certain people in the world have risen up so high in the exponential field, billions and billions, because they are a lighter, higher frequency being that can rise beyond all the density of the third dimensional reality that most people have been oriented to. Okay, so I get this. I literally went through it. I would be leading these high level programs, running a massively successful transformational company, and then like struggling with these different patterns that would come up, trying to overachieve by fixing, trying to have my achievements fix the struggles of my family and have us have something great happening. It's like, I didn't know that was in there as a motivation. Or I was trying to grow in my leadership and influence to help the world, but then I kept small in my relationships with my family members because they didn't like me to be confident, and they didn't like me to be full of myself and to be feeling good about myself. So I didn't realize I was staying small in all those relationships. And it didn't matter. I could write like a Wall Street Journal bestseller selling book, and they just wanted to keep me in the same exact relationship I was in my whole life. And nobody knows they're doing this. You don't know you're still like afraid of your aunt like you were when you were a kid, and you're trying to be like a TED speaker like I am. And then you have like, you're afraid of your aunt, or you're leading, a big mogul in a big amazing program, but you're afraid of your dad or your mom or whatever. This stuff is got no place. It has to all be worked on. It has to all shift And that's why we, at the Moguls Club, we are shifting moguls into the highest levels of leadership, addressing anything and everything that is going on within their programming that can put them in their highest purpose, top alignment, empire builders, dynasty makers, and just put them at the top. Billions, and ideally, we'll eventually have a trillionaire that we create. So it's a tough one because we all want to keep relationships alive that we've had, over the years. But you cannot rise to the top by being anchored by your programming that may be down at the bottom. So the difference is, and I felt this, I was like successful, but I wasn't sovereign. I wasn't able to fully be me because these patterns kept playing themselves out, even though I was doing transformational programs. So for any and all leaders, as you're trying to rise in your growth, we've got to replace the distortions, the dysfunctions in your program, your programming, and help you rise to the top. So we have to think of it beyond just transformation, which is level 1, and to think of it as transmutation, where you literally become the highest version of yourself. So you don't have those ceilings anymore. You don't hit those levels and then you get stuck and you keep looping. Instead, you hit the new upgrade, you break out. It's like watching a stock, break out from the resistance and then go to the top. Okay, so this is very important because otherwise we're thinking it's effort and all of this, we're blaming other things. We've got to be able to be in the high frequency, clear, pure, truthful, highly intentional. We can't have any garbage programming that we're bringing to the game. So we want to become the architects of our own reality, moguls, and this allows me, as I am also doing the same, to help you and others rise up into the place they're supposed to be, because the world needs leaders at the top. Because look at what all the weird leaders are doing at this point. There's a bunch of nut jobs. We need top leadership to get to the highest levels, because the world is going to change through a more group of a bunch of really high level, pure, high frequency beings that are going to, that we're all together, right, going to help us transform into a new level of reality that we're here to have. So that's why at the Moguls Club, we don't just do some basic mindset work. We do transformational mutation. We are transfiguring your reality. We're guiding leaders to release ancestral coding, detach from false loyalty, just collapse the lower frequency timelines they're stuck in with certain people that they care about, but they will not be able to be in that timeline and the one they're supposed to be in. So they can mutate into the quantum beings they were designed to be. And this is not just about becoming a better version of your old self. This is about becoming a lighter, faster, more fluid, quantum level mogul who is more like a lumen, light being flowing than a human. So you can rise through levels of reality with more ease and just create exponential outcomes with intentionality. Okay, moguls, because here's what you're actually doing when you're growing. You're not just building a business, you are rising in consciousness, frequency, dimensional leadership, and a sovereign signal to the world. And in the physics of ascension, you cannot rise while attached to the weight of misaligned people, programs, or reality, and you have to mutate. And that's what we train leaders to do at the highest level. So if you're a leader who knows that you're meant for more, knows there's higher levels for you, who's built something but feels the ceiling is just very real that you're hitting, and you're ready to step into the version of you that was never meant to stay stuck in that old level, then I invite you to step further into the Mogul frequency. Click the link below in the description to access my free human design chart, my transformational books, or maybe even apply to the Moguls Club and our transformational field of reality. All right, we're not just here growing people, we're mutating leaders into top moguls. So your mogul move today, moguls, is to identify one relationship, belief, or energetic anchor that's keeping you at a level below your true destiny. Drop it in the comments, hashtag mogul moves, say what it is, let's shift it. What are you shifting it to, and start your transformational mutation. Because you're not here to rise 1 inch at a time. You're here to transcend these levels entirely. Okay, moguls, so glad you could receive this upgrade. You are heading into your top level of mogulhood. This is on the way ascending to your kingly, queenly throne so you can reign over your reality, not get impacted and stuck in your programming. So check out the next videos, keep the upgrades going. Until then, stay sovereign in yourself, stay ascending, and stay in the frequency of your rising. All right, moguls, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.